as we go. So hello and welcome. I'm to the presentation on how to adopt fair work practices. We'll be talking through fair work and the benefits to Scottish businesses, as well as an overview of the Fair Work Assessment tool and what insights that can bring to you and to your business. So I am Kaela Dear, a Workplace Innovation Specialist at Scottish Enterprise. Also on the call is Fiona Simpson and Caroline Kennedy. And they're kind of my eyes and ears at the moment because all I can see is the slide. I can't see any people, which is a bit disconcerting. I can't see who's joining, who's leaving. Hands up or chat or anything like that. So I'm hoping Fiona and Caroline will keep me right, keep me on track. So welcome to everybody that's joined us today, and to any kind of late arrivals as well. Welcome, just come on in. I've got a question for yourself. It's not one of those sit and watch sessions. I'm going to be asking how does this fit for you? Have you heard of Fair Work? Have you completed the Fair Work tool? What brings you to this presentation? If you just want to put your mics on and speak, I think we're a fairly small group, we can probably just do that.
Hi, I've not heard of it.
All right. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right.
I've not completed it either.
And you haven't completed the
That was
tool.
Leslie and Kate. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Leslie and Kate.
All right. So do you work, are you in a business, or I can't see who you are or name or anything to give me a clue as to who you are. So do you operate in a small business or?
Yes, I'm a small business owner, so a company director of a physiotherapy practice.
Right,
So we're
okay.
within Ayrshire, so we have 10 employees.
Lovely. Okay, great, thanks.
And
So a couple of people, sorry, yes, on you go.
I'm a self-employed occupational therapist, just starting up really.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, heard of Fair Work at all?
No, I haven't
Nope.
really.
Okay, good. All right. And anybody done the tool, completed the Fair Work tool?
I have, but I work for SOCI, so yeah, I'm very familiar with Fair Work, and I'm the Fair Work lead at SOCI. So so yes,
okay,
I'm very familiar. And
great. I'll hand over at any point. Who am I talking to?
So Shona Man at SOCI.
Okay, thanks, Shona. Right, if I please don't don't pick fault if I get it wrong. Oh, keep me right. I think the thing with Fair Work is it's really just good work practices. It's not a kind of dark art or anything like that. It's just good working practices that gets the best out of people. So I'm hoping the agenda for today will cover any questions you have and give you sufficient information on Fair Work. But if not, please ask as we go along if it's not clear. It's the kind of thing that Fiona, Caroline, and perhaps Shona, we're kind of steeped in this, and there's a danger sometimes you get a bit lost in the language when it does become so familiar. So do put your hand up or put something in the chat to help get clarification. I'm quite comfortable for people to put their mics on and just ask the question, but we do ask generally if you put your mics and videos off, unless you do have a question. And just to let you know, this session is being recorded and I think it's available next week, but we'll leave that up to the organisers to arrange. Okay, so here's the agenda. Simply, what is Fair Work? What are the benefits of adopting Fair Work practices? How will you get started? There's a Fair Work tool that I've mentioned, and Fiona's going to talk us through what that looks like and what results you can get out of that. And then we're going to do a case study at the end of a company that's been through something similar. As I say, you may already have Fair Work elements in place already. Perhaps you don't call them that, but you might recognise some as we go through. So let's look at there's 5 dimensions of Fair Work. And here they are. Fair Work really aims to balance the rights and responsibilities of employers and workers and generates mutual benefits for individuals, organisations and society, such as increased participation in work, improved productivity in the workplace and wider distribution of wealth within local communities. So the dimensions of Fair Work are effective voice, as I've got up there, and it's more than just having an effective channels of communication available in the organisation, but of course those are important. It requires a safe environment where dialogue and challenge are dealt with constructively and where employee views are sought out and their input is taken on board. Next up is security, which is security of employment. Work and income, these are important foundations of a successful life. And while no one has complete security in work, fair work moves away from the burden of insecurity and risk, resting primarily on the employees and workers. Respect at work enhances individual health, safety, and well-being. And dignified treatment can protect workers from workplace-related illness and injury and create an environment free from bullying and harassment. And you may well have policies on that already. Opportunity, fair opportunity allows people to access and progress in work and employment, and also refers to the attitudes, behaviours, policies and practices found in the workplace. And finally, fulfillment, because workers who are fulfilled in their jobs are more likely to be engaged, committed and healthy, which all supports business performance and productivity. Any questions or comments at this point?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, carrying on. All leads in nicely to the potential business benefits. Why do businesses do this? What's in it for them, frankly? Well, the Scottish Government's ambition is to be a world-leading fair work nation by 2025. So it's important that companies understand what fair work is and how this can support their workplace. So here we go. Here's some business benefits. More engaged, resilient and flexible workforce. So 3 adjectives there, but they're really substantial. More engaged employees are more likely to speak up and contribute to improved business processes or new ideas or ways to save money. If they're resilient, this word is often mentioned and talked about, but it's invaluable for employees who are coping with change or unexpected events. And flexible workforce, again, so you can pivot to, for example, customer requirements quickly, adapting new workplace practices, etc. So increased employee well-being, we've touched on this, also comes from, all of these are linked really one way or another. So, you know, especially if you have a voice and you can speak up on topics that you think can be enhanced within the workplace, that all helps employee well-being. Increased employee creativity for problem solving and finding solutions. Again, if you've got a voice and again, if you're engaged, you're more likely to come up with solutions and help solve problems. And this all helps, all of these help to aid your employee attraction and retention, your employer branding, if you like. People will want to come and work at your organization because they hear how you treat your staff and what the culture is. People are more likely to stay because it's a good place to work. They have a voice, they can contribute, and they feel included. And generally, there's a positive culture and the businesses remain agile to challenges and opportunities. And all of this, of course, impacts on HR metrics. So, for example, sickness, absence, staff turnover tend to be much improved when all of these other elements are in place. People want to come into work and want to contribute. And all of that increases productivity, performance, and profitability, which is why we spend so much time talking about it, because it really does make an impact. Comments, questions around any of this? Is this something that you've included already? I'm thinking about employee well-being. There's some, you know, they have become buzzwords now a little bit, resilience, engaged workforce, and so on. Is this something that you are working on already within your businesses?
Me, I want to know how you avoid being backfire. For example, there are companies, I'm coming from Canada, and I have a very bad experience with a work accident that instead, because they had that involvement of the government and the publicity of being a fair workplace, what they do is to silence the employee, and the way is very negative for the employee. So how you're going to avoid such a negative outcome if it ever happens?
Yes. Yes, no, I could see that would be very damaging, because on one hand you're promoting fair work and all of these elements, but on the other, yeah, you're stifling a voice. What, to retain the status? Is that what you're saying? To keep the fair work? It's not even a fixed thing. You don't get a badge like you did.
Because the government on one hand is not willing to recognize work accident because that changed the statistic.
Yes.
They have to pay the insurance, and the job don't want to recognize the accident because the insurance goes up, and because the bad publicity for the company.
Yes. Sorry, which government is this?
In Canada.
In Canada, right. What I can say is that the Scottish government is really promoting this and encouraging this very heavily and very strongly. So it filters down through Scottish Enterprise, and to be fair, it's something that we've talked about with all businesses in different language and different phrases over the years. Now it's come together under this heading of fair work, which is what we're trying to explain and understand. But certainly health and safety, accident reporting. Yeah, I would hand over to my HR colleagues around this, but that's something we would take very seriously. All right. I'm going to hand over to Fiona. Sorry.
Thank you. I have many hopes in Scottish handling of this.
Yes, I would be. Yes, the situation you've described. Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what we're trying to achieve. You know, where you lose the transparency, it becomes an issue for health and safety. It becomes an issue for voice. And as you say, the culture, how can you breed a positive culture if you're silencing the voice and being hypocritical? So, yeah, all of that sounds suboptimal, I think, is the expression.
Kaela, you've got a question in the chat.
Yep. What's that? Sorry.
Sorry, there's a question in the chat.
Yes, thank you, Fiona. I was just going to let you know there's another question in, Kaela.
Yep.
From Pauline. Pauline is asking, what if businesses are not acting in this manner? What do you do as an employee to speak up without losing your job?
Feel free to jump in, Fiona and Caroline.
Pauline, again, I suppose that it reflects on the culture of the organisation. Pauline, do you want to provide some further information on, you're referring to the employee feels fearful of their employment position if they speak up, if they don't have a voice? Do you want to add something to that comment, to your question?
No,
Pauline.
Well, I chip in there. So
yeah,
my view would be, that's all is going to impact all these really positive things that Kaela's just outlined. So, if business aren't acting in this manner, you would think that their retention levels are going to decrease. Going to lose a lot of staff. They're going to perhaps then, in terms of employer brand and their reputation, they're then going to have difficulty to recruit new staff. You would also think that their employee culture and their employee workforce wouldn't be as engaged and as creative, and all these things that Kaela's outlined with that type of environment. So that's the overarching culture. There should be a mechanism within all workplaces. Obviously, Kaela's described employee voice, but if employers aren't encouraging the employee voice, there should be a way to speak up through some form of kind of whistleblowing policy within a company. So there should always be a mechanism for them to be able to whistleblow if there was a significant concern. in relation
or
to
at least
the
through a
workplace.
kind of pulse survey or something like that that says how do you feel about working here? That could give an indication of yes, we're purporting to be fair work employers, but the reality is I'm fearful to speak up. But yes, otherwise there should be a whistleblowing opportunity as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so Pauline's Pauline's commented that unfortunately that's not been her or been an experience where there's been a few circumstances where had to leave or find other employment because of a kind of bullying culture. So
yeah,
that's that everything that we're talking about today is what we're trying to involve. People should be coming in to work to a kind of safe environment where there's fair opportunity for all. So that's really disappointing that Pauline's had that.
Yes, yes, yeah, it does go on, and yeah, the impact is massive. The ripples are enormous, and it ultimately, if we're going to be, it affects productivity, performance, and profitability. So it's not in the company's best interest to develop that negative culture and that silencing. You're better to know, and then you can do something about it. Okay, any other questions in the chat or hands up or anything?
That's it at the moment.
All right.
Thanks, Eva.
Okay, thanks. Well, I'm going to hand over to Fiona, who's going to take you through the Fair Work tool.
Thank you, Kaela. Thank you. So yeah, as Kaela said, I'm now going to kind of briefly chat through the Fair Work Employer Support Tool. So it sounded like at the beginning, there's quite a few on the call who haven't used this tool. So I'll kind of briefly outline the tool, how you use it, and what the purpose is. So the tool was developed to help employers understand and fully embed the dimensions of fair work. It supports organisations on the next step of their fair work journey. So there's 20 questions within the support tool. So 4 questions on each of the dimensions that Kaela has already kind of chatted through. This is just one example, just to let you see the format of the tool. So this is one example of one of the questions, which sits under the fulfilment dimension. And all the questions follow the same format. So each question has got 5 stars, and the user should click on the number of stars that they feel describes their organisation. And there's descriptors below, as you can see on the slides, to support their selection. So you click on the number of stars that you think fits. The descriptor below is highlighted, and then you move on to the next question. And as I said, there's 20 questions within the tool. You all right just to move on, Kaela? Thank you. So once all these 20 questions have been completed, a personalised report is generated based on the answers that you have provided within the tool. It provides next steps on how to progress your knowledge and understanding of the 5 dimensions. As you can see, well, just about see, because the slide's quite small, there's a spider diagram which gives you a visual overview of how the user has scored on each of the 5 dimensions. So the score's an average of the questions you answered in each dimension. So it will be between 0 and 5 for each of the 5 dimensions. So it allows you to really focus in and understand where perhaps you need to kind of develop your practices, processes further, and it may help you to kind of prioritise the next steps. On the right, there's a kind of report overview, and then below is hopefully the kind of helpful part for you to progress. It contains kind of guidance and resources on each of the dimensions, and again, this is tailored to the responses that you have made within the questionnaire. I'll go on and discuss this section further within the next few slides. The report is a useful benchmarking tool as well. So when we're speaking with companies, we would normally recommend that a questionnaire, the companies retake the questionnaire every 6 to 12 months, depending on the complexities of the changes they're looking to make. So there is you can just about see it at the top right, there's a select date taken button, so you can go back and look at previous reports that you've completed, so you can look and see how far you've progressed and what gaps are still there for you to work on. So it really allows you kind of to track your fair work journey. So this information is stored within the online tool. You log in and you can access your information, and you can also download a version of the report. So it just allows you to be able to kind of track your journey of Fair Work. We would also recommend that a few people are involved in terms of taking the survey. So perhaps, you know, a few leaders and managers are involved, so you're gaining a holistic view of the organisation, and it's not just kind of one person's view of the world as well. Okay, Kaela, can you move on again, please? So yeah, we're just going to drill down on the kind of next steps and useful resources section. So this helps you to progress your kind of knowledge and understanding of the 5 dimensions of Fair Work. When you click on one of the dimensions, you'll access this page that we can see in front of us with next steps, useful resources, and then a place for you to make some of your own notes. Roughly speaking, there's normally around 3 to 4 next steps for each of the dimensions, but it obviously depends on your own individual scores. It summarises your key strengths, you know, things that you may want to reinforce and keep working on, and also provides guidance on areas that you may wish to further improve. I thought a few examples may be useful, so you can understand the type of information that you could expect to see within this next section. So, for example, within effective voice, the report may suggest that you build promoting dialogue and constructive challenge into your manager's personal development plan. It may suggest that a company recognises what you've achieved by seeking workers' views and ideas on how this has benefited the company. So it may therefore recommend that you close this feedback loop by adopting a "you said, we did" approach to communication. But that's just to give you a flavour. It really does depend on the answers that you've put within the questionnaire. Okay, are you able to move on again, Kaela, please? Thank you. So this is the resources section for each dimension, and again, this is a tailored suite of resources which are aligned to your answers. The resources are in different formats, so there's viewpoints, there's case studies, there's podcasts, there's events, there's articles. So hopefully it caters, you know, for different learning styles, and gives you a variety of sources. There's normally there is a lot of resources, so there's normally around 10 to 15 within each dimension, depending on your scores again. So it just allows you to kind of dip in and get a variety of resources to really support your action plan and to support your next steps. Our team within Scottish Enterprise, our workplace innovation specialist team, would be happy to discuss reports with companies and help in relation to that prioritised action plan, and providing companies with support to move the dial on their Fair Work journey and help them to progress with their Fair Work journey. So absolutely open for that. And next slide, please. Thank you. So hopefully that's been a useful update for you, or reminder of the Fair Work Employers Support Tool. I would encourage you all to go online and have a look at it. It is really user friendly, and hopefully the report that you receive at the end of that is valuable to help you embed Fair Work and improve on your Fair Work journey. And this slide just shows you the URL where you can access the tool. So just like Kaela did after the first section, happy to kind of pause and take any questions or comments on the Fair Work Employer Support Tool.
Kate's asking a question. Fiona, is this tool free of charge, or is there cost involved?
That's a nice one. It's free of charge. It's free of charge. So it's you just click onto that URL, you input some details, and then that you register, etc., and then that takes you straight into the survey. So there's no cost.
Thank you, Fiona.
Any other questions? No. Okay, will we move on to the case study?
Let's move on to the case study.
Great. So we're just going to hopefully try and bring this to life for you. You know, we've talked through the dimensions, we've talked through the tool. So we thought it would be helpful to discuss a case study of a company that we've worked with, fair work practices were adopted and to support business performance and productivity. So Kaela and I are going to do this as a bit of a Q&A chat, so hopefully that will work out all right. So Kaela, tell me about the opportunity or challenge that the company had.
Sure. So this is a small life sciences company who were growing quickly, and their people practices and culture needed to develop quickly to keep pace with their growth. So we reviewed their growth plans and aligned their people plan with this growth.
Excellent. And specifically, kind of what fair work practices were adopted within this company to kind of support that challenge?
Yes, really all of them in one way or another. Through the discussions, it became clear that the founders of the business were keen to embed fair work practices, and the company focused on their working practices in recruitment and communication, engagement, as well as the development of their wider workforce. And we all worked together to create a program which would identify and grow leadership skills and provide a framework for personal development to nurture talent as the business grows. So yes, all 5 key principles of fair work have been adopted within this project. For example, the skills development meant that they created more fulfilling roles and more opportunity for career progression. Refreshed recruitment practices enhanced their understanding and attraction of a diverse workforce, and also that they sought feedback from their employees via a bi-monthly employee questionnaire and the creation of an employee forum, which is really useful.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to ask the so what question. What was impact? Kind of what benefit did that give to the company?
Yes, massive impact throughout the whole business. The leadership team reflected that as a result of the training program, employees are really working smarter and they're working better together. So this has improved performance. The team have developed a better understanding of the customer journeys, and this has allowed them to adapt their offer with this in mind. Leadership have been encouraged because the teams have shown the competence to learn and develop, and this has resulted in internal promotions. And also they did psychological safety training when this has encouraged and facilitated inclusive work practices and broken down barriers, encouraged more diverse thinking. So yeah, in summary, the company have developed new ways of working which will help them build a strong culture which values diversity and an infrastructure which supports their growth plans. And it's helped them to better understand their customers, and this supports the development of new products and moving into new markets. So yeah, all good.
Excellent, thank you.
So again, questions and comments to the people that have joined us. If anything on the case study, anything on the tool?
I think it's great. I think that's what every business should try to be embedding anyway into the practices. If you're a good employer, then employees are happy. And I think recruitment's a very difficult thing for everybody at this moment in time. I think it's across sectors. I know for myself, I find it more difficult now than what I did 10 years ago to recruit people into the team. So you're really having to build that kind of, I guess, that security for people to be valued within the business and making sure they're fulfilled. So yeah, I'm loving all the, I like that it's broken down into the key dimensions, and I can't actually wait to get on the tool.
That was my next question. Yes, have we enthused you enough? It is, as Fiona said, it is user friendly. You get an instant report, and then of course there's the and then what? You know, what do you do with your report? If we can help in any way, please get in touch. That's what we do, you know, to bring the report to life with you, to talk it through. What can you put into practice and so forth? What are the quick wins and what might take a little bit longer to build in? But as you say, all of it means that people want to work there, they want to contribute, they tell their friends this is a good place to work. Recruitment, as you mentioned, that yeah, it is tougher for employers. We've been hearing that a lot. So you want to be the business people want to come and work at.
What's the best way of getting in touch with you, guys?
Could we put our email addresses in the chat? She says to Caroline, who's
yeah, we could do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll put our contact email addresses in the chat, and please feel free, as Kaela and Fiona have said, you know, just to make contact with ourselves, and we can further discuss, you know, your individual reports.
Yep, absolutely.
There's also a workplace innovation area within the Scottish Enterprise website, so you're welcome to contact us directly, as Kaela said, or you can do that through the website. There's a kind of contact button within the workplace innovation space of the website, so perhaps we could put a little link on to that, Caroline, and our email addresses. Is that all right?
Yep, the link in the email, we'll do that. And Fiona, thank you for your comment. You're saying it's much less likely to be difficult if you have a strong employer brand, which you will have if you treat your people well. So thank you for that additional comment. And that's yeah, very true. If you have a strong employer brand, people feel part of it. And ultimately, as Kaela and Fiona have articulated, if they feel part of the company, part of the organisation, they will hopefully be more engaged and contribute, and ultimately the company will be more profitable as well. And profitability. Pauline, thank you for your comment. Pauline has said that she believes in everything we're promoting and hope that businesses see why it is appropriate to act in this manner. It's all positive for the businesses too. Yeah, and I think Kaela articulated that at the start of the meeting, in that it's almost like a win-win for employees and for businesses, because their employer brand and their reputation in the community and nationwide as well can only benefit. And also as a recruitment tool, if potential employees see that the company they may be going to work with is progressing in the fair work journey and is aware of the fair work journey and all the benefits, then it just brings a more cohesive employment opportunity for new recruits as well.
Yep. Thanks, Caroline.
Well, thank you, Fiona, for uploading that. Thank you, and we'll get our emails put down in that as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask the businesses that are on, do you have some of these practices in place already?
We do have some of those practices, and we have a very much open door policy when it comes to coming to the management. And we also have a fortnightly team meeting where everybody gets that opportunity to speak, to put things forward. So kind of similar to your employee forum that you were talking about, an opportunity to have their voice heard. Definitely have a mutual respect going on there, and we've got a big kind of programme with health and wellbeing where we actually support on a monthly basis membership to any kind of leisure or gym facility that they wish to go to and use as their wellbeing kind of, I guess, incentive. And we have a full CPD programme, so I'm very into learning and developing. So we have external budget for courses, and we also do internal peer-to-peer sessions and 6 weekly internal CPD training as well. So a lot of opportunity to progress and develop.
Yeah, that sounds phenomenal and really healthy. And I'm hoping, and I'm sure it is, it's all within a culture where people can speak up, even to say the negative things or the difficult things as well as the positives. And there's a case of exploring them and what can we do about them. That there's a no blame culture and so forth is what you know, of course we talk about this, but of course it has an impact within a business where people can see people challenging or questioning or contributing, and it's welcomed. It's all good if people they're engaged. They want to do the best for the business.
Excellent, thanks.
Okay. Another question. Thank you, Iona. How would you say this could be implemented with virtual and hybrid working, etc.? The implementation of the Fair Work, is that obviously what Iona's referring to? I suppose it's just adapting. It's adapting your current practices. So whether, you know, from the communication, from the opportunity aspects of the Fair Work principles, you know, you would just have to maybe even perhaps have regular drop-in calls, coffee calls with your team leader. You could perhaps even have your employee forum. They could be actually scheduled to take place online. So it could be adapted, and it has worked with quite a number of organisations, a significant amount that we've personally worked with, and from ourselves as an organisation, you know, where our team leader has regular one-to-ones, but also we have the opportunity for our voice to be heard via employee forums, or whether that be a bi-monthly questionnaire, PCON survey as well. And it's important that, you know, I mean, some people will say, you know, from a survey, but we have completed surveys in the past and nothing really gets done, nothing happens as a result of it. But I think it's ensuring that when employees have a voice, that voice is acted upon, and they actually are aware that, you know, they're being listened to, and changes where appropriate will be made.
Thanks, Caroline. I just reiterate that it's really the same whether it's hybrid or virtual or in person, and lots of businesses are pivoting to that now as people work from home or work flexibly. Sometimes it's a blend of team meetings are held face to face and everything else is online, and it depends, of course, with global businesses where people are working across different continents. But the same, I would say, just how you do it and what works well, and checking back in with people. Does this work for you?
And adapting it as well, Kaela, you know, if it doesn't, if you feel that maybe the informal discussions with your team leader or manager are too frequent, just being able to have that voice and feedback and say, we would actually rather these are just once a week now. We feel that we don't need them on a daily basis.
Yeah, sure. Okay, and as we were going through the tool and so forth, did you think of any areas within your business that you would like to focus on?
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the benefits of the tool, isn't it? That it helps you identify perhaps areas, you know, what dimension perhaps could do with some more work. Quite often within our jobs, it's a bit, companies are overwhelmed in relation to perhaps the people practices and where to start. There's always so much to do. So, you know, hopefully the tool can help to focus and see, right, okay, let's start with opportunity, because we've scored slightly lower in that area. Of course, there's overlap between them. You know, the one interacts with the other, etc. But hopefully, it does help to focus the mind so that you can then, you know, put things in action and move forward.
Thanks. And in terms of, somebody said they were going to access the Fair Work tool. Anybody else want to do a thumbs up or whatever facilities available, who will be tapping into that Fair Work tool?
And it can be also accessed via your, you know, your smartphone or your tablet as well. There's various methods of accessing the tool.
Yeah, I've just popped a little link actually in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
So thanks, Fiona.
People could be doing it now, so you register. Don't hold back.
Yeah, I think that's
okay. Any other comments or questions on Fair Work or the practices, or how you might put them into place? Yep.
Fiona, do you want to talk through your comment, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do. I suppose what I was going to say is when we're talking particularly about the effective voice element of Fair Work, I think variety of communication is a real key. So you know, many employers that I talk to, for instance, will tell me, yeah, we have effective voice in our organisation because we have an open door policy and anyone can come and speak to us. But what you need to remember as an employer is that not all your employees necessarily will feel comfortable doing that, and it's about having variety of different ways to communicate with your team members so that everyone can find a mode of communication that works for them, that they feel comfortable. There may be some people, or there may be an issue that could be very, very what am I trying to say, explosive, I suppose. Yes. And some people, I was trying to think of a polite way of putting it, some might not feel comfortable putting their head above the parapet and voicing that thought. But having anonymous ways of doing that as well can also be really, really powerful. So I think, you know, when it comes to voice, the word effective is the key here. Effective in terms of having different modes of communication, but also effective in ensuring that it's not just that people have a way of saying what they think, but it's also about listening and taking action and showing as an employer that you have heard what your people are saying. There are times when leaders will need to make decisions that their teams don't necessarily agree with, but if they're providing an explanation as to why a decision is made, for instance, that tends to make workers feel much more engaged and much more involved in the process, and they can get much more on board with the decision that they don't agree with if they understand the reasoning behind it. So so I just kind of another thing to add. And then the other thing I was going to say is it's possibly also worth noting that the Fair Work Convention has an employee tool which is also available, so that employees or workers can assess their employer's performance against Fair Work, and that can be valuable too.
Valuable too, yes, so long as it's reviewed appropriately, yes, and it lands in a receptive environment. We were going to put that in the presentation, and we put it in and took it out. We thought we'd just start with a Fair Work tool and just stick with that. But yes, thank you for raising that. That's brilliant. Exactly as you say, it's for employees. It's similar but different. There's different questions, and my colleagues can chip in if you like, or just have an explore and see how it works for you. You can do a sort of test run if you like, or do it for yourself as an employee, or share it with employees. But absolutely, as you say, Fiona, it's got to. Speaking is one thing, but listening is the other side of that equation, and what you do with that information and how you respond to that voice is absolutely critical. Yep, thank you for that.
Yeah, I've just popped up the link. So it's called the Self-Assessment, Fair Work Convention's online self-assessment tool. So yeah, I've just popped up the details there.
Yeah.
I think it still states it's in beta phase, but it is accessible. So yeah.
It is, yes, it does work. Yes. Gosh, I was conscious of time. Yes, so that's, would you like more information? I think you've got our email addresses there, or there's the link to Scottish Enterprise Workplace Innovation. But yes, please just get in touch if you want to talk it through about your own particular circumstances, or how you get started, or how you bring that action plan to life, so it doesn't just sit in a drawer on your to-do list, that it gets put into practice. Any further questions or comments?
People have got another session to go to, perhaps.
Right, yes, absolutely.
Right,
Gosh, it's after 1:15 already. Right. Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
joining us.
Thank you very much. No more questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye now.
Thanks.